Welcome into the 97th episode of the Sabremetrix podcast. My name is Bill. Alongside me, as always, is Walt. Walt, considering this is a double feature and this is the second recording we're doing, I already kind of know how you are. But for the sake of continuity, how you doing today, man?
Uh, I'm doing good, and I'm really looking forward to talking about the Sabres because
Yeah.
we haven't had many episodes where this team has been on, in a playoff spot. You can probably count on one hand the amount of episodes we recorded with the Sabres in a playoff spot. So it's fun
Uh,
to have these types of episodes.
and this late into the season for sure. I think the last time we did it might have been
Yeah,
what, it was like November or something like that. And I was like, there's still a lot of season to go. So this late into the season, um, man, it's we were talking kind of like, after the other show, but before this one, it almost doesn't feel real.
yeah,
It's a Ricky Bobby, I don't know what to do with my hands. Because like you said, this has been a long time coming. Like, do you have anything to just say about that? I don't really have a question. Just any thoughts on the current state of the Sabres and how crazy it's been and all that?
yeah. I kind of almost like feel like when they make the playoffs, like the entire world will just enter a time machine and go back to like 2011 or something. Like that's almost what it feels like with how long it's been
That'd be
since the
nice.
Sabres have been a playoff team. It's like you don't really know how to think about a Sabres playoff game in like the context of like the modern day world because it seems like two things that just can't coexist. Like just like 2026 in a Sabres playoff game. Like it was kind of something you like read off as like this is never going to happen again. But now we're kind of right on the cusp of it happening again. Just 25 games left, and they go 15-10, 3-2 every five. That's a 100-point hockey team, and that would be remarkable considering where this team was earlier in the fall.
Yeah, I think a big thing is they would be out to a bigger lead if their start to the season, let's be honest, was so poor. It was a poor start to the season. I mean, they were dangerously close to to the point of no return. They went on a ridiculous run, a historic run for the Buffalo Sabres. And look where they're still at. And yes, of course, that is
Yeah,
partially because the East is so good. But again, emphasis, unfortunately, we have to be negative because this is what happened. It was a really, really bad start to the season in hindsight.
yeah. I mean, we even live streamed that first episode, like first season of the game against the Rangers. I think some of us maybe thought, oh, Rangers might be like a fringe playoff team. Like they ended up being like a really bad team.
Yeah,
And Sabres did not look great against
it
them
was a
that
bad game.
game.
It
So
was a bad game.
it's like dropping 3 to start the season is not great. And then they kind of bounced back a little bit. They had some positive moments, but then they kind of dipped like, kind of right before that West Coast trip. It was like, oh man, this team stinks. And then, out of nowhere they kind of turned it around. And yeah, like you said, they were dangerously close for, this season being one that's like one people stop caring about in January. So I mean, the fact that we're sitting here during the middle of the Olympic break, kind of excited about these final 25 games, compared to where they were earlier, I think it's just like remarkable, and it's fun too to have a good hockey team to talk about.
I thought that was going to look better. I wanted to pull. Whoa. I wanted to. Okay. Well, this is just getting worse and worse. So enjoy the poor content. I wanted to have some standings pulled up for everyone to kind of follow along if you are watching. And again, if you aren't watching and you're listening on podcast, we appreciate you. But if you want to see us, our bright smiling faces over on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. Sabremetrix podcast over there. We appreciate it. And like you said, live streams. Looking forward to more live streams as the season winds down. And man, I love the live streams. People get in there. The Sabres fan base. They're a funny bunch. They're smart. They understand hockey, and honestly, they're quite funny. So another plug to subscribe because those live streams are a great time. I really enjoy interacting with everyone there and interacting with Walt, obviously. But okay, since I can't really use a visual cue here, Tampa Bay, 55 games, 78 points. Montreal Canadiens, 57 games, 72 points. Detroit Red Wings, 58 games, 72 points. And the Sabres, 57 games at 70 points. That's the Atlantic Division right now. The Sabres are in the first wild card spot with Boston, 57 games, 69 points, nipping right at their heels. Boston needs to go away.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to fall off, but they keep just playing better.
They were the team that would go 7-2 in 9 games, and then 6-3, and then 8-1, and then 7-2, and you're just like, what is going on with this team? But they're right on the Sabres' heels. The reason I wanted to have this pulled up is because not only Boston, but then there's Columbus that are 5 points back on the Sabres. So are the Capitals. Ottawa has 63 points in 57 games. So look, they're 7 back. But are you worried that this break came at a bad time? It came at a good time because those guys are freaking gassed. Those guys couldn't move anymore. You're playing a game every other day, 4 games a week for what was it, like 3-4 weeks at that point? Like, they were gassed. So yes, it was good to get them a little bit of a break. But it's a 3-week break for these guys, and to me, it starts a little 25-game season. And who knows who ends up crushing it in that 25-game season. It might not be good enough for some team to make the playoffs. Like, let's say here the Devils or something like that go on some crazy streak because of this little 25-game season. Yeah, they might not make the playoffs. But on the flip side, if the Sabres struggle coming out of this, they could very quickly see the lead that they have on teams dwindled to damn near nothing. Wanted to get your take on that. Are you worried about that? Do you think, like you said, this team only has to go 3-2 for each game, but you go on a little bit of a skid now? Okay, now you have to go 4-1. Like, again, they're in a good spot, and I don't want to get too cautious, but like, look, I'm a Buffalo sports fan. Until this thing's locked up, like I'm assuming we're going to get burned somehow, some way. So, Walt, what do you say?
I mean, I think the break came at the perfect time because I'm just thinking of that Pittsburgh game. They looked terrible.
That's
Like they
true.
looked like a terrible hockey team, and I really think this team needs Benson back. I think him with Tage is a great combo, and then when you put him with Tage, you can move whoever Tage's other linemate would be in place of Benson down further the lineup, and I think Josh Norris too. He was close to returning. I mean, I know it's probably not like the best thing to say about him because it seems like anytime I say he was close,
Yeah.
allegedly, like it's like, oh no, yeah, actually he was week to week still.
Yeah.
But I mean, according to Lindy, he was close before the Olympic break. So uh, getting him back too, I think is huge. So, I think if you return on the other side of this Olympic break with the forward group that has Benson back in it, that has Norris back in it, I think that would be huge for the Sabres team. I really still hope they could find a spot for someone like Consta Helenus, just because I think he's been so good. And I think if you could spread out the, kind of talent in that forward group a little bit and, maybe play him up on a line with, a little bit more skill, I think he could be a really effective piece there. So be interested to see what they roll with because the fourth line had some pretty troubling games in a few games before the Olympic break where they kind of just got caved in. So it would be nice to have a fourth line that, not only brings that energy, but is also capable of some offense and, not getting stuck in their own zone defensively. So I think from an injury standpoint, I think the break came at a perfect time. And I think their forward groups will be much more evenly distributed on the other side of this Olympic break. And, Yuri Kulik too, that's something we haven't even brought up yet. Like he started like skating again, like on his own. So who knows what his timeline is like to return to actually playing NHL games. Like when this incident first happened with the blood clots, they said they expect him to be back before the end of the season. And we're getting, pretty close to the end of the season. So adding someone like him back, shortly after the Olympic break is over would be awesome too.
I definitely think with Kulik, he is my if you don't make a move at the trade deadline, I kind of get it because you're looking to bring in maybe like a Kulik or and we'll get into this more, but like treating Tuch as your rental. Hey, we bought this is our rental. We're not going to give up any assets for it. We're just going to let him walk to free agency. Where in free agency, he still can choose to stay in Buffalo. It doesn't automatically mean he's gone, but
Yeah.
let's be honest, probably. I mean, like the chances, 31 other teams are probably going to be like, "Hey, what's up? What are you looking for? Too rich for our blood?"
Yeah.
Then you narrow it down to like 10 teams or something like that, kind of thing.
He
So,
took such a bargain contract too. I
dude,
think that's the biggest issue of trying to get him to take a discount this time around.
yeah,
Was that when he signed that long-term contract with Vegas for under 5 million per year, it's like, man, that really messes up the next contract because he's gonna be looking to get paid to close out his NHL career, and rightfully so because he played hockey like with a contract that was well below his market value for the majority of his career. So he's definitely looking for like a well-deserved payday, and
yeah. You
might
can't
not be from
you,
Buffalo.
you can't blame a guy saying like this is my career, this is how I'm making my my money for the rest of my life or my generational money, whatever you want to call it. Like this is my livelihood, and I can only do this once. I have one hockey career to make life changing money. It's hard to blame him for that, and especially if a team's willing to give him that.
Yeah,
You can ask for all you want, but if a team's not willing to give it to you, then there you go. But if a team's like, okay, cool, then you're like, all right, well, I mean, they gave him 12.5 mil a year, and good for them. I don't know why they did it, but there you go. So
yeah. Like I do think though, if he's really a diehard Sabres fan, like we were kind of fed through Sabres media through the past like few seasons.
yeah, but it
Like
was
I
always
mean,
put on him. You know what I mean?
yeah, it
Like
was.
I know he mentioned it. Don't get me wrong. Like he's like, yeah,
Yeah,
I watch these guys. I've always been a Sabres fan. Like, don't get me wrong. He said it, but it's all like a lot of it is like been put on him. He's the local guy, and it's gotten to the point where it's a meme where everyone's like 2.5 hours away, 2.5 hours away, like
yeah,
because it's been said by so many others about him,
yeah. It's like
including
Connor.
people in the Sabres organization. Sorry,
I was gonna say like Connor McDavid's from like 2.5 hours away from Buffalo. So it's like
less
every
than that.
other. Yeah, so is every other NHLer from the GTA. So it's like, are they considered local guys? Like, it's kind of funny that the guy from Syracuse, which I mean, they have strong hockey culture there. I just don't think there's that many Sabres fans in Syracuse, honestly. But it makes sense with him though, with Tim Conley, being a Syracuse guy, and the Sabres were good back then, and obviously he knew Conley. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But I do think if he's actually like truly a diehard Sabres fan, like internally, maybe Sabres making the playoffs this year, having a crazy fan atmosphere, messing around and winning a series, maybe that convinces him to kind of take a million or two off that cap hit per year and decide to stay in Buffalo. I guess we'll see. Like really the only people that know these conversations that are happening right now is like Alex Tuch, his agent, and the Sabres front office. Like there really hasn't been too much info that's come out that's been like, I need XYZ in order to stay, or I'm looking
I
for
think
XYZ or else I'll leave.
the thing with Tuck is he has been adamant. I am leaving that to my agent.
Yeah.
So like he's not the bad guy if he's like I'm not taking a discount. He's just like, look, I said my agent. I'm like you handle this. So he's giving him, and maybe he's doing that. Maybe he's not. I'm not trying to make it seem like Tuck is trying to play like 4D chess and like mess with people's minds. No, no, no. But like he has said from the beginning, I am leaving this to my agent. Whatever he keeps me posted if he needs to keep me posted. Are we close? Whatever. But like leaves it there. So it could just be that the agent says, no, 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 this is what we're doing. I talked to Tuck, and he loves Buffalo. He would love to stay here, but he told me I have final say of what we should be doing here. That could be the dynamic. I have no idea. I'm just throwing one of many different scenarios out there. So,
Yeah, it's like the funny thing with it too is that it's almost like the Sabres are playing worse right now. Like they're far a playoff spot. I do think it would be more likely that they'd sign Tuck than, if they're in the spot they're in right now or they're looking really good. Like, as crazy as it sounds,
Yeah,
like,
they've
I just
finally
think they'd
given
be
themselves. They've
yeah.
never had any leverage because they've been so bad for so long. They finally have a little bit of leverage. You don't want to, like, I don't know. I can see them being like, look, like, we finally have a little leverage. We don't want to just start immediately using it, but it also seems like bad business if you don't finally start using the leverage you've been craving for over 10 years.
Yeah, and if this Sabres team was bad, if the forward group stunk, it would be like the Skinner situation all over again, where they're like, we don't really have anyone that could replace this guy in the short term, maybe not even the long term. So we just have to pay him whatever he wants. And I think they're finding themselves in a spot, especially
Oh,
with how these young guys have been playing, where it's like maybe we can make up for Tuck in the margins. Like maybe we could have like a great amount of depth, and we may not have a one-for-one Tuck replacement, but we might have three guys that we could fit in the lineup that could overall kind of help replace his impacts. Like I know that wouldn't be a popular topic amongst fans that think Tuck is an important piece of this franchise, but I do think there's some truth to that. I do think that you can kind of replace him with the quantity of youth they have in the system, even if it's not a one for one replacement. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like I really don't even think it's the most interesting discussion regarding the Sabres right now either. Like it's not even the one thing that I'm most concerned about with the Sabres moving forward. I'd say my biggest concern is whether or not they could close out strong, make it to the playoffs. I feel like that's much more important for this group's future than any contract with Alex Tuck could be.
so we were talking earlier. If you went back to some random episode and one before the winning streak, we're like, you really need to start thinking about trading Tuck right now. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You do not trade anyone away unless you are adding, or if it's like addition by subtraction, which Tuck is very much not that. So we're in a situation where found money with Kulik if he comes back, which hope he does safely and everything like that. Blood clots are nothing to mess with. With Tuck, this is our rental. This is our rental. We didn't give up any assets for it, but we might lose this guy. So that's kind of where I'm at with things. It is a fluid situation. Again, it was earlier in the season. It was like, look, you got to think about trading him, getting what you can, and because we were talking, this team might go 20 freaking years without making the playoffs, and they might need to rebuild again.
Yeah.
Now look at us. It's been a crazy year. Um,
Yeah.
they are pretty much, if they make that like 100-point pace, I put them at what, like 92 before the season, and I was like, that's pretty optimistic. I think it could be like high 80s. They're at like the top end of my best projection I could have given to them,
Yeah.
which is
I would
great.
have never,
But it's
yeah, I never would have projected 100 points.
no. Something we haven't done in a while, and I wanted to do it, and we're going to try to make this quick. Sometimes we do kind of get lengthy on it, and we did already do a lot for Alex Tuck, so we don't have to go too far into him. But I'm going to say a name, and I'm going to leave it to you. If I want to add something, I can, I guess, but I'll leave it to you. Just your thoughts on him recently, this entire season, going forward. Literally any thoughts you have when I mention this person's name. Zach Benson.
I think absolute dog, and I think a really important piece to this team. Like, I don't want to pull out the Matthias Samuelson, like, look at this team's record with and without him from like back from early on. But I mean, with Benson,
Yep.
I almost want to say like this team's so much better when he's in the lineup, and they win a lot more when he's in the lineup.
Dude, it's just all the time. It is
Yeah.
all the time with this guy. Where you're just, I don't know. It's just every time he's out of the lineup, you just have that pit in your stomach going, okay, like I really hope that stat isn't actually true. And then they end up losing, and you're like, all right, well, there's another one. They're like
Yeah.
1-7 without him now. Like this is getting bad. So Zach Benson is just a dog. If you had right now to give him a contract, and it is fair for Benson and the Sabres, this is the fairest contract I can give as an extension for you, what would it be? And again, it's fair on both sides. So Benson's getting his money, but it's also not the Sabres getting tanked by someone that isn't necessarily a premium scorer yet.
I mean, I think if I'm Benson, I think if I'm signing long term, I want at least 8 million as my cap hit. I want more than that Doan deal.
You want
And
more than Dome.
yeah, I think more per year than Doan. So I just because I think he has a higher ceiling than Doan. Because Doan's still a young player, but Benson's, a good amount younger than Doan, and I still think he has so much offensive runway left. Like, we'll see how he fares as the season ends. Maybe they get the contract done over Olympic break, but yeah, I do think if I'm Benson, I'm asking for slightly more than Doan if I'm signing long term, just because of the potential aspect of him.
Okay. It's tough to debate you on that because I mean they were literally relying on him as an 18-year-old to play like like a regular NHLer every single night. That was crazy. Just there's so many avenues that his development could have taken, and I'd be so interested if we could go back in like a time machine and send him back to juniors for a year or somehow. I guess probably couldn't have played on the Amerks, but if somehow he played for the Amerks for a year or two or whatever, instead of getting forced into a Sabres team that was poor
Yeah.
and had a lot of pressure on him.
Well, I almost think like I know it wouldn't be ideal for him to end up as a bridge, but I do think Benson will probably come in and be like, I have a lot of potential, and Sabres will probably be like, well, optics wise, we don't know if we want to give you like 8 million right now, which in my mind wouldn't be the right move if Sabres don't want to go long term, but I can see this kind of reaching a point where they just do a bridge deal because I don't know. I just feel like that happens it can happen with the, higher end prospects like Benson where they believe more in their potential. But hopefully Sabres get it done long term. I mean, you can even look at Jackson Blake too. I know he signed his contract a while ago, but he signed like 8 years, 41 million. Like he's like an older Benson comparable. So
Mhm.
maybe the Doan contract would be fine. But I just feel like if that Doan contract would have been fine, uh, he already would have signed it by now. Because I can't imagine they're offering Doan that contract and not Benson something similar. So I guess we'll see what ends up happening there.
I would not be surprised to see Zach Benson bridged as well, 2, 3 years,
Yeah.
5, 6 million, something like that. Maybe him like saying I want to bet on myself there. So wouldn't be surprised to see something like that as well. Okay. Unless you have something on that. Next person quickly, Jacob Bryson. I'll just say that game against Pittsburgh was really tough and it's played really well this season, but oh boy.
Yeah, it's rare for a skater to be like directly responsible for losing a game, and I hate blaming individual players for losing a game, but that's about as close as you could get as a skater losing your team a game. So yeah, I mean he's good before that. He was terrible that game, and it kind of makes you like for the rest of the season be like, we can't play this guy.
Yeah,
And that trade deadline's not long after they return for the Olympic break, so I wouldn't be stunned to see the Sabres try to make a move for a different type of depth defenseman.
agreed. Agreed. Like you can't. You were playing that top four like crazy. I mean, Metz is
Yeah,
playing 4 minutes a night. Bryson's playing six. Like you just can't. That's not sustainable. It's good to see Kessel Rings back, and I'm glad that he has a break as well. I know you mentioned a couple guys. He's another guy. Glad he's
he
getting
struggled a
going.
bit too. So I
Yeah,
mean, that
he
makes me
struggled a
think
bit. I
they've
mean,
been.
he's
Yeah,
he's been dinged up too. So like, not necessarily super reliable. So like, instead of a forward coming in at the trade deadline and somehow like trading Tuch or something like that. No, no, no. I'm thinking add
yeah,
someone that can play
defenseman
on that
first.
third. Yeah. Because you don't know how Timmins is going to come back from his broken leg too. We will get to him. We're going to go over every single name. So the next one up, I'm pretty sure you guys can probably figure out that I'm going alphabetically. So we're going to go with Bowen Byram.
He's been all right. I think he's been good to all right. I think he's been good relative to my expectations for him. But I don't think he's someone where I'm like, you got to sign this guy like 8 years, whatever he wants. Like I think he's good with what he does, but I
I
think there's
was
still a discussion with him long term.
I was getting that way when he was scoring a goal, I don't know, every freaking game.
Yeah,
Like that was an incredible heater he was on. But yeah, there's the good with the bad. You can see just a really good athlete. It's
yeah,
very clear that he's a very good athlete, but and some of the things you can do, you can kind of see he's played in big games. It's easy to say because he has, and then you can look at him and be like, oh, that's a big game player right there. But there's small little things that I think people can agree. You're like, okay, he's just he's feels a little comfortable in this situation. It's small things that you see on the ice if you're able to see those details. Um,
Yeah,
but
but there's still
yeah,
story left to be written with him. Like he could close out the year
yeah,
hot, and maybe I change my tune. But I think as of right now, like I mean, if there was no cap, you could just sign guys whatever. I'd be like, oh yeah, keep him. But like when you have to start making decisions on the cap, and you're already paying Darlene a ton, you're
Darlene,
paying Power a ton. You have Samuelson locked up long term, and he's been good.
got
I
signed
think,
Castle Ring, which isn't
yeah,
going to be a ton, but you still have to.
yeah. Well, yeah. Even like not even thinking about fifth, sixth defenseman, I still think paying your fourth guy a ton of money when you have a decent top three is where the discussion gets a little interesting. So that's kind of where my main thing Byram's coming from. It's just long term.
I
I
could
think
see.
Sabres have to make a choice on his fit.
Sorry, I could see Byram being agreeing to an extension with the team, and then the Sabres trade him to them this summer. I could see that.
Yeah, I honestly just hope he loves it here so much that he keeps taking like two-year deals and they could just like keep him around. I
That'd be
mean,
nice.
maybe he will. Yeah, I don't. We'll see what he ends up doing.
Enough people have said this dude is like a really good locker room guy, and you can kind of see he's like just a solid
Yeah,
dude, and that's good. I'll take that.
I mean, yeah, if he wants to stay and doesn't demand a crazy amount of money, that yeah, I'm all
Sure.
for keeping him around. But if
Yeah.
if the asking price goes way up, he's going to be kind of one of the guys I think the Sabres have to look towards moving, just because you're dealing from a area of strength in terms of your defensive depth, at least towards the top. Like
Yeah.
you could save money by filling out those 4, 5, 6 guys with cheaper options.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, if you want to take league men to stay with the boys and keep the vibes up, go ahead. But other than that, yeah, that's just I think he's a victim of circumstance. I think is a good phrase.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, man, like you're a good
Yeah.
player,
Like,
but they just have other guys signed.
yeah, it's really not his fault. It's really his contract situation's fault. Like if he was signed longer term and say
Yeah.
Samuelson had
Hmm.
a year or two left, it would be a different conversation. But just with everyone else being signed long term and him being the short term guy with the cap getting tighter, I think that's where the discussion gets interesting.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the next one, Rasmus Dahlin.
I think he's been incredible. You know, we're just kind of blessed to have him as a Buffalo Sabre. Not really used to having elite defensemen as Sabres fans. So, I mean, to have him, as a Sabre, both for now and for the foreseeable future, I think is awesome.
Considering all he's gone through, that we already knew about, and then the other shocking, horrifying, terrible, sad, heartbreaking news that came out a couple weeks ago about them losing a child as well. I mean, just incredible hockey player. Again, don't know him personally, but you can make an educated guess that he's a pretty incredible human being as well. Um, we are lucky to have him. I think he's also lucky to have Buffalo. I'm not saying other
Yeah.
fan bases wouldn't be as close knit you know, to their captain and stuff like that, but to a guy like him. But I think Buffalo really shines in these really tough moments. I don't need to mention all of them, especially Bills related and stuff like that. So I remember I've already donated at least once to like a Darlene Foundation. I think it might have been like $26 or something like that. Um, you know, just seeing that rallying around him and him having that appreciation for that. And it seems from behind the scenes, it sounds like the Sabres are really trying to do right by him with, those personal matters too. That all taken into consideration, I think he's done quite well this season. Really glad to see him on Team Sweden as well. He looks good in a Swedish uniform and to play with all those good guys. Um, I think that's it on Darlene. I mean, just a good dude. Really happy to have him around in Buffalo. Seems like a guy that you really hoped he would turn into when he was definitely struggling during those years of Kruger, who was like, if you go past the red line, I will literally bench you for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
That's crap. So yeah, just not trying to fanboy too much, but big Darlene fan as a player and a person. Good role model for kids as well. So plays the game with a lot of skill, a lot of edge too. So all around, big fan. Justin Danforth.
I mean, I'd love to say something about him. I guess I know more about his story of getting the NHL more than who he actually is as a player, but can't
I'm
say I remember much about him at all from his games as a Sabre.
I'm curious your thoughts. He had a freaking broken kneecap, so no thank you. First of all, no thank you. Just get that out of the way first. That sucks. That sounds terrible, dude. That sounds so bad. Anyway, where do you what happens after this break? He's probably going to be coming back. If it's not immediately, maybe a couple weeks in or something like that. What do you do? I think I know what your answer is going to be, but like, let's be honest. Helen News is probably not going to stick around. They're probably going to send him back to Rochester for a guy like Danforth or something like that, or a Kulik if he's back. Who knows? What's your thoughts on Danforth specifically when he comes back? Does he slot into the lineup? Does he need to wait his turn? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, probably fourth line, I'd say, because they seem to trust him. I
They need
wouldn't
help with
trust.
face-offs.
Yeah, like I don't really think Kozak's been playing well enough to be like this guy has to be in the lineup. He's probably a borderline waiver guy at this point. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think Danforth. I think he definitely has an inside edge to rejoin the Sabres lineup when he returns to full health.
Cool. Sounds good. Josh Doan. Josh Doan.
I think, we talked about it like in that initial trade video. I haven't rewatched it, but I remember talking about how the Sabres are taking a huge bet on this guy being able to scale up his impacts on the game to like a higher level. And he's absolutely done that because we've seen a lot of guys just excel in like a bottom six role that's dominate both sides of the puck. And then when they're asked to join the top six and contribute offensively, they kind of falter a little bit. I mean, he's hasn't done that at all. I mean, he's been incredible in the top six, has really been able to scale up his game to a higher value role on the team. So yeah, I just think absolute dog, absolute huge piece to have on the team. And I think replacing a player type like JJ Paterko with a player type like Doan, I think is one of the reasons why this team has been able to turn it around so quickly. I think they're really just missing that all around jackknife, always playing hard type of player in this lineup because they have the skill. They just need like the energy and the motivation. And, I mean, Doan's still skilled as well, but they really needed that two-way impact out of a guy. And I think they got that out of Doan.
I think if you were not going to within that JJ Paterka trade, and this is where I was nearsighted on it, and I need to give my flowers to Kevin Adams, is if you were not going to replace not only with the JJ Paterka trade, but just you made that trade in the summer and then you didn't replace his points, and that was my biggest concern. If you're going to do that, you're not going to replace those points. The best case scenario is getting that Josh Doan player and for him to scale up, like you mentioned. It's a lot of ifs, but it's worked out really well for them. So look, you have to give it flowers where credit's due, credit where credit's due. And I've said it before, say it again. It's good that Kevin Adams waited and said, look, this is not a deal until you include Josh Doan. So again, like for me, Josh Doan, I think there's a ceiling there. He's not a first-line player for me, but I think he's a really, really solid second-line player. And hey, guess what? That's a really important role in the NHL. Me
I
saying
mean,
he's not a first-line player
yeah.
is not a knock on him at all. So I think if he can solidify on that second line for years to come, well, he should because he signed the contract, but it's a really good piece of business for the Sabres and, good for Kevin Adams.
I mean, I just see so many shades of Shane Doan where it's hard for me to say he's
Yeah.
not a top line player because Shane Doan,
Well,
he was kind of a late bloomer with his
that's
NHL
true.
career, and he's following a similar trajectory to his dad did, at least at
Well,
the
look,
NHL level. So
there is a reason why you call it the top six. Like I'm a little bit more like first line, second line, third line, and like the first line has to be like the good guys. But like it does depend on chemistry and stuff like that. And yeah, top six it can be a little interchangeable. So fair enough.
I just said
I'm
I've seen like some of his puck moves. Like he had one play the other night where he just like put the puck through like three different guys,
yeah.
like right along the wall, and it
Mhm.
created a scoring opportunity. And there's another play off the face-off where he put it through someone's feet and created a scoring opportunity. It's like he keeps like adding this stuff to his game where it's like, where even is this guy's ceiling? He keeps seeming to like break through
I
whatever his
will also
perceived ceiling was.
I will also say his he might not necessarily replace the offense points wise, but I was constantly annoyed. It's like, great, this team's good on the rush, but this half ice offense sucks. They cannot generate scoring chances or goals when it comes to we are cycling and all that. It's changed. That has changed a bit. And a lot of that is because
Yeah.
of Josh Stone. Now, obviously, we see the really cool ones where he pickpockets a guy and, dishes at the Krebs and Krebs finds Tage backdoor. Of course, that's part of it too. That's freaking awesome. A true hockey player, true hockey fan, that's chef's kiss. A nice strip the guy, chasing him down and dish it off for a goal. Like that's beautiful. But it's also the cycling below the dots, along the walls, winning battles.
Yeah.
You don't
I
necessarily have the puck, but you're making sure that defenseman or that other team's forward isn't able to get it out. Versus JJ Peterka was like, well, I wasn't, I didn't have the puck and I wasn't on the outside, so I wasn't able to take my shot. So I'll drift back, and then if the offense comes, all right, let's rev up the engines again. No, 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 that's not. It's not how
Yeah,
going
that's
works.
just a necessary step the Sabres need to take, and they took that step this season too, moving away from the rush offense, focusing more on killing plays before they entered the zone and winning battles in the neutral zone. So that's been the difference this year.
This was going to be a podcast triple feature because our next episode, well, I guess our next episode probably will be before the medal rounds start, like we mentioned. But we also want to go in depth on some numbers, and that's one I want to see. Like over the past few years, how much have they transitioned from a transition game to a more complete? Like, yeah, you still score off transition turnovers, stuff like that, but how much more of it is in that half ice offense, because that is a very different part of the game where we saw you can be a great rush team, but if you can't score half ice, then it can do you in for a season. Quickly now, Josh Dunn. Personally, I'm just going to say, seems like the fourth line's kind of struggled since he's been out. That really sucks. Glad he was able to kind of solidify himself, and he's gotten himself into 28 games this season. I think he's probably earned himself a contract in the offseason, probably elsewhere, I would assume. But I've liked Josh Dunn so far. Any comments from you?
I mean, good fourth line guy. Remember watching him back when he was on Clarkson, way back in the day. So,
Ooh, baby.
yeah,
That's
I
a
like
goal.
him as a fourth liner.
All right. Jordan Greenway.
I think there's some good stuff with this game. He's kind of been outscored at like a ridiculous rate when on the ice this season, and he has been playing injured like the entire season.
The
So
entire
he's someone where I'm like, if he's actually that hurt, it may be better for his long-term health just to shut him down because they have more than enough fourth line guys, especially if Danforth comes back to, fill in those roles.
I thought I was about to cook with this. You pretty much just said all those things because I haven't alluded to it or anything. So thanks, Walt. Appreciate you. Yeah, I was thinking like LTIR, like he's dealing with like a double hernia thing or whatever. And I've had like a core muscle injury or issue before, and it just doesn't go away, dude. And it's so annoying. And you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. You make one movement and you're back to square one. It sucks.
Yeah.
And mine wasn't as bad as his. Mine was because I freaking went too hard on a freaking golf shot and it turned into a mess. We're not getting into it now. Um, looking at me, you're like athlete, of course, but no, not actually. So, but with everything's about me. So Jordan Greenway being injured, I'm going to have to try to relate this to me. But anyway, Jordan Greenway is like, we've seen like if he's healthy and he's playing well, he's a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, he's
It's
fun to
great.
watch. Like
It
that
is genuinely
Dallas
fun to
game
watch.
where that guy like flipped him off in the crowd after he took out two guys.
Grabbing
That was
onto two dudes,
legend.
like, oh, do you both
Yeah.
want some? Do you
Yeah, that
both?
was legendary.
I guess you both want some. Like that stuff, like that's just, I don't know, man. That's just entertaining. I like Jordan Greenway. I don't know,
Yeah.
like, is he making too much money? Yeah. Not his fault. They're like, hey,
Yeah.
you want this? He's like, sure. You get as much money as
I
you can. So yeah.
Yeah, like it's just really the contract makes it tough with him because like if he was cheap, I'd love to have him around because I mean he was one of my favorite players when he's on like the US World Juniors teams and then when he's a young player on Minnesota. Like I just love watching him play.
It's fun, man.
But yeah, when you're making 4 million, like yeah, it's kind of like we're not only talking about the player now, you have to talk about, just the cap implications.
right, let's move on. Costa Helenus.
I I love him so far. I think he should be a every night saver. I know he might not be, but I mean, like even him just winning like the fast skaters competition at the AHL All Star game, like his speed was pretty comparable to like middle of the pack guys in the NHL fastest skater competition. Like there's just so much there with him where he has that speed. He's really smart. He plays like an NHL vet. I mean, he drew some penalties in some of the games before break. I'm like, that's just like an NHL vet type move. And even some of the plays where he's keeping the puck in the zone, like that's kind of the thing you kind of notice. At least I've noticed this season with the Sabres lines that kind of struggle with expected goals and whatnot. Like you look at the fourth line, there's a lot of guys that rotate through that line that really struggle to get the puck out of the zone when they're on defense, and they struggle to keep the puck in the zone when they're on offense. I think Helenus, like he excels at keeping the puck in the zone when they're on offense. Like he'll fight back and battle and win it right before it clears out. And the Sabres have a 30-second offensive zone sequence after that. And he's great at getting the puck out of his defensive zone. So I think the hockey IQ is there. I mean, the shot ability is there. He's scored some good goals so far. I'm excited to have him. And, if he doesn't play that much down the stretch, at least he's a 19-year-old hockey player. We're going to see a lot more of him in a Sabres uniform in the future.
I think it was a good entrance into the NHL and what to expect. He's played 9 games. Did he burn a year of his contract? Is that
No, so once you hit 10.
So once you okay, so the 9th game is like your so
Yeah.
I will say I get it if they send him down and don't call him back up until the playoffs. I
Yeah, I
get it.
mean,
I do. I do. I understand it. Is it because I understand it in the sense that it isn't like now, the difference between him and another player, I don't think is so far. Now, if there's a player that is truly like killing your team out there, and we could have the debate if there are players doing that right now, but if he's truly killing your team and Constant's just sitting there and I'm like, and you're in danger of missing the playoffs or something like that, it's like, hey man, yes, he needs to be up here and he needs to be playing. You have a little bit of a cushion. Like for a long-term outlook, I understand and I do kind of support sending him down to Rochester. First line minutes, first power play, maybe penalty killing time. Rochester, who if they go to the I almost said off season like twice there to the playoffs, really good exposure for him there as well. So like I get it. It's a fine line because if there's guys out there just completely blowing it for the Sabres, then you're gonna be like, why isn't Costa playing? But for a long term, we have an extra year of really, really good money for that kind of player. I get it. I get it.
I just rather sign that contract now than later. That's why I really want to burn this year because I know if he's doing year 1 of his ELC next season, he could
Okay.
easily be an 85-point guy by the time you have to sign him long term. And in the future, that's going to be an 11 million player probably, or maybe even 12 million. We'll see how much the cap increases. So it's like just going to burn that contract and get him to sign that Dome deal or something similar to it, and just like move on from there. But I do think he's going to burn it anyway because this Sabres team is not going to be able to stay healthy these final 25 games. Like we're talking about
a lot of games.
We're talking about Josh Norris having to stay healthy, first of all, let alone everyone else in the lineup having to stay healthy. Like there's one guy that goes down. Helenus is back up in this lineup. So, so I think he'll burn it this year just because, I can't see the Sabres team staying that healthy in the final 25.
You know what I never do? I never say like, comment, subscribe, share or whatever, like the normal YouTube stuff. I never do that. We don't do ads. We don't do that kind of stuff. But this is the one time I will say it. Comment down here on YouTube about the Helenus situation. If you could choose, would you leave him in Rochester to try to save yourself a year? Or would you just burn it? And where are you at? Are you on Walt's side or are you on mine? Because I'm actually curious. Because like I can make a case for either way. That's why I didn't really push back when you said that. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. That's fine. Like at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. But I'm curious to see what other people which way they lean. I'm on the whatever gets you into the frickin' playoffs thing, but hopefully that was kind of self-explanatory. So, well, we need to really step on the gas here. Michael Kesselring.
Uh Extremely underwhelming so far. I know he's been hurt, so I'll give him a little bit of leeway, but I definitely think he needs to show more. Like I even this contract next year, like look at his point totals. Like I know that's not everything a contract, especially for a defenseman, is
Yeah.
decided upon, but it's like it's not going to be a guy that gets a lot of money this offseason with what he's done so far. Even his time on ice too. Like he's just not going to get a lot of money this offseason.
No, he's not. But I'm willing to, give him a bridge deal as well because
Yeah.
it feels like this season's just kind of a wash for him. New place, never really had these kinds of injuries. He has like a high ankle sprain issues. That's not easy to deal with. Again, glad he has this time off, but the games are going to be coming hot and heavy again. I don't know. I'm trying to give him leeway, but not too much kind of thing. So I do struggle with that a little bit because there's been times where I'm like, okay, like I see it. Like, there you go. I get it. It's not all points with him too. He's a rough guy and he doesn't seem like a fun dude to play against. So that is, something there as well. But um yeah, I'm trying to go lighter on him just because it's been such a crappy season for him, health wise and stuff. So I'm gonna call it a wash. But if you're gonna be in the lineup, man, like you gotta perform. Get us to the playoffs. You got to perform. So that's what I want to see from him coming out of the break. Hopefully he does. Tyson Kozak. And you know what? We're going to put two guys together because they're both predominantly play on the fourth line. I'm curious to see if you have kind of the same opinion on both of them. Ty- hopefully I didn't call him Tyler. Tyson
No,
Kozak
you
and
almost
Peyton
did.
Krebs. I almost did. It's Tyler frickin' Bozak that still gets me. I did that after they drafted Tyson, and I'll never forgive myself. It drives me nuts. It keeps me up at night.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tyson Kozak, like, he's like a fine, like 13th, 14th forward. Like, he's a
Yeah.
nice guy to be able to, put on the lineup in a pinch, but I don't really think he's done anything where it's like you need to keep this guy around long term. And Krebs, I I don't even know what to say about him at this point because I mean, you see in the game where they ask him to be up on the top line, he plays absolutely out of his mind and looks
Yeah.
incredible. And then like he falls out of the game where he just looks like the old Krebs again. So it's like
Bad.
I don't know what to do with him at this point, but at least he's like somewhat flexible for a fourth liner. Like he can play up the lineup. Like he's had good impacts on the ice with Tage on that top line. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean that's the one thing I think keeping around at this point is that he can be more than just a fourth liner if injuries come into play. So that's the difference with him and the other fourth liners.
Unfortunately, just with one, the schedule, and two, certain, I mean, and the sport in general, but two, like some of the players on this team, I hate to say it, but like a Norris or like a Greenway, if they try, like, and you can kind of expect some guys to get dinged up. So yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I don't really know what to make of Krebs. Like, we'll have great moments where I'm like, there it is. I don't have another. It's like Jack Quinn.
Yeah.
We're like, there it is. Yeah, more of that. You don't see it for a while, and you're like, oh, well, okay, well, it sucks, but excuse me. Water went down the wrong way, apparently, it seems. Yeah, do we want to? Yeah, we'll talk about it. Yuri Kulik, I guess my only thing with him
I
is just
mean,
I hope he
like
can play again this season, and
I
hopefully he's
guess hope
healthy.
he could play another NHL game. At this point, like, that's
Yeah.
a pretty serious issue. So
Oh.
I mean that's really all I have.
Was it Marion? No. Who had to
Marian
abruptly?
Hossa is allergic to his equipment.
That's right. Yeah, he was allergic to
Yeah.
like the bacteria or something like that that grows on
I don't
equipment,
even
which if anyone knows hockey equipment, woo boy, my parents sure do. Beck Malstein.
Beck Mallenstein, I love the energy he brings. I just think you have to cover for him in other ways on that fourth line. I think you need
Yeah.
more like just well-rounded impact guys on there to throw out a fun guy like Mallenstein. Like I think if you could add like if he could be the grit to a line that has a little bit more skill on that fourth line, I think it'd be perfect. Just right now, it's just too much of the fourth line we saw last year with like
Yeah.
Lafferty and those guys where it's just pretty much keep the puck along the boards. You lose the puck. Oh no, hope you don't get pinned in your defensive zone for a minute and a half. Like they've just been fourth line's just been getting pinned in their defensive zone for way too long. They've gotten away with a lot just in terms of bounces and goaltending. Otherwise, they could be looking a lot worse right now.
Yeah, I was looking at some of their advanced stats, on ice stats, and I kind of like colorize them when it comes to percentiles. So bright green's really good. There's a lot of freaking red with those fourth line
Yeah.
players. Whoa, boy. And then there's a lot of green when it comes to on ice shooting percentage and on ice save percentage for Zach Metza, which is always hilarious.
Yeah.
His PDO is in like the top 1 percentile of
Yeah,
the
he's had like
NHL.
some crazy streak of where he's like 18 or might be even more games without being on ice for a goal against. It's like crazy.
It's really hard to do that when you play 3 minutes and 30
But
seconds.
he's been on ice for a decent amount of goals for.
That's true. It's true. It's wild. It's truly wild stuff. Well, technically McLeod's first, but let's talk about Zach Metzer real quick since I just mentioned him, and then
Yeah,
we'll
I
do
guess
Ryan
just
McLeod after. Just go straight into him.
I don't know what to think about him, but PDO legend. I don't think it's sustainable, but it's fun to follow.
Hell yeah, Ryan McLeod.
I think he's been. I mean, I don't really have much to say to him just because I think he's been exactly what Sabres fans would expect him to be, which is just solid, and has a nice contract. So,
Yep.
yeah, I'm a fan of him.
It's what you expect from him for his contract. It's what you expect from him as a player. It's what you want from him as a player. Even saw him throw a check one of the other games. I don't remember which one it was, but I nearly fell onto the floor seeing that. So proud of him for that. But yeah, Ryan McLeod, just a really solid, middle six, preferably third line center that teams need, especially the Sabres need centers because they struggle in the faceoff dots. So I don't really have his faceoff numbers in front of me right now, but having someone that you can rely upon game in and game out that almost looks like he glides around the ice, but he's all over the place because he's so quick. So that's a good thing. We'll take it. Ryan McLeod, he is who he is. He's just not Martin Erat. Josh Norris, just
2 words: stay healthy.
Yep.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what he does on the ice if he only plays 20, 30 games a year. He could be Sidney Crosby, but if you're playing 30 games a year, you can only have so much impact.
He has 19 games played, 6 goals, 11 assists for 17 points. It's a great points per game thing, but just not enough games. So stay healthy. Yep. Own Power.
I think he's been playing a lot better. I think since some of our earlier episodes, I think he's really found his confidence, and I think even he may have said it recently where it's like, I know my stats might not be the best I've ever been in my career, but I feel like I'm playing the best hockey I've been playing in my career. And I think it's been true. I think it's been a huge piece of this team being able to turn things around. And it's good to see for him, and they need to see it for him with that contract. So, yeah, I'm happy for him being able to turn things around.
Yeah, I kind of issued, I don't want to say I issued Owen Power a challenge. There's no really a good way of saying it, but I was basically like, hey, he needs to play better. Then he did. And he wasn't playing egregiously, but it was those things where it's like, hey, man, you have your guy, but you don't have your guy. And stuff like that. Now you don't see that as much. And look, it's going to happen from time to time. That happens to the best players, fine, whatever. But he's played, even the biggest power critics, you have to say he has played better the past month or two, since the streak started, really. So I'm really impressed. He needed to play better, and he is. So he deserves the praise. Keep it up. Really happy that he's having success. And who knows if he can, man, if he can really put himself together a couple good seasons, who knows? 4 years from now, maybe he's in a Canada jersey playing on the Olympics on the back end there for Canada. So just throwing that out there. So we'll see. Really glad that he's playing better. Moving on to our next player, Jack Quinn. Oof. I mean, just
yeah, man, I don't really even want to talk about him because
I don't either.
Yeah, because I know people will be like, "Oh, you can't say that because he has so many points." I just don't know if there's. Yeah, I just don't know if there's a role for him on his team long term. I mean, the 5-on-5 goals have been good, but he's an incomplete player. I kind of, it kind of makes me think about Victor Olofsson because he leaves and goes to Colorado and Vegas too at one point, and he suddenly turns into a good two-way player. Maybe it's the same thing with Quinn, but I just feel like he's someone who will be better off moving on from Buffalo, and I think Buffalo will be better off moving on from him because they got too many young forwards like Hellenus and even Rosane. He might not even get a shot, but I mean, there's guys that could use a shot at the NHL, and Quinn's kind of in the way of that. And it'll be interesting to see if they continue to let him be in the way of that in the future. Because I mean, Lindy does seem to like him. Like he's on the top power play unit. Like he trusts throwing him out there in certain
Yeah.
situations. So yeah, like
Oh, dude.
I just don't really know what to say about him. Like he's not a terrible player. There's useful stuff there,
Yeah.
but his fit with the Sabres, I mean, it's just becoming a little bit more questionable. So I think he could be fine elsewhere, but here I think you can upgrade on him.
Such a weird, frustrating player. I've never seen someone fall as much as him, but he has in 57 games, he has 37 points, 12 goals, 25 assists, but it's just the
Yeah.
streakiness too. I mean, he's gonna go 20 games without a goal.
He
He'll
kind of
have 2
reminds me
points.
of, I was gonna say, he reminds me a lot of like the old Sabres, like the Sabres of last year and the years before. Like he's kind of the last piece left from like that type of Sabres hockey. So I feel like that's why the fit's kind of weird because he
Mhm.
plays hockey like the old Sabres did, but the new Sabres is more like gritty two-way, like when pucks in the neutral zone. Like he capitalizes every once in a while on his odd man rushes, but I feel like he has so many odd man rushes, which is a good thing, but a lot of times they just seem to go to waste.
It's like, "Hey, man, you have a killer shot, and that should even open up passing lanes for you, and nothing happens." So,
Yeah, I think he's shooting below expected too, which is like interesting for him because
yeah. He's usually one of those guys that's, above just because of his shooting
yeah,
prowess. So,
yeah, I don't know. So
yeah, frustrating.
I could be looking silly for saying this in the future, but
Yeah,
and I do think he's capable of
he
you
is.
know excelling elsewhere, maybe even
He
in
is.
Buffalo. So that's why it's just
Yeah.
he's just such a tough player to speak on.
Yes, he is. Another one that's kinda tough to speak on, Isaac Rosan.
Yeah, like
Isak. Sorry.
yeah,
Isak.
I don't even know. He's been great in the AHL, hasn't been given the opportunity in the NHL, so I can't really say
He's got
anything
16
either
games,
way.
3 goals, 4 points. He's just kinda he's out there, he's got a little bit of points, but he's just out there. I don't know. I mean, if he flashed more, we would've mentioned it, so that's
Well,
pretty much what I've got on.
he'll just never get that opportunity to show more on offense because anytime he gets called up, they're gonna pin him to that fourth line or uh jumbled
Like a
up third line. So
yeah, jumbled up, like, checking 3rd line, so we'll see. Jury's still out on him. Jury wasn't out on him in this offseason, let's just say that, but, it has swung completely the other way. Matthias Samuelson. Um, does he get Norris votes?
uh I mean maybe one. I mean, I doubt it, but I mean he's been really fun to watch. And I actually just had a Matthias Samuelson rookie card I bought on eBay come in the mail today. I'm already investing in my future children's future, so starting an early college fund by getting
Yeah, I
Matthias
was gonna
Samuelson
say,
rookie cards.
this is gonna get you through Dartmouth.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, I mean, just you guys know me. I was super, super down on him. I don't wanna say I was, like, leading the charge, but I was on the buy him out immediately, he's gotta go.
Oh yeah,
Um
same here.
Super happy to eat my words, because like, he looked miserable and, like, genuinely depressed, and now he's obviously having more fun, and I'm always gonna be an advocate for that,
He
so
still looks miserable and depressed at times, but I guess that's
yeah,
just
that's
his
true,
vibe.
yeah. Yeah, he's just got kinda that, like, sense of humor because they always said he was, like, a great locker room guy, so you can kinda get it a
Yeah.
little bit more when he's playing well, and you can kinda give him a little bit more leeway, whereas before, you're just like, "I don't care, you let Tage get killed," so, speaking of Tage Thompson.
I mean, I think he's been Tage this year. Like, I really don't think you can complain too much. He seems to be pretty consistently the same guy year after year. So I think we're well past the point of wondering if this is sustainable. Because obviously, when he came out of nowhere, it's like, is this sustainable? But we're so many years into it now, where it's like this is just the player he is, and he's a pretty good hockey player.
Yes, sir. Alex Tuch.
I mean, we talked about him a ton earlier, so I don't really have too much to add. I
Anything else if you had it? I also
yeah,
skipped over Connor Timmins if you wanted to mention him. I know we talked about Tuck, so let's honestly just skip over him. Connor Timmins, is he just kind of like Dan Forth, or just like see where you fit in once you get back?
yeah. It seems like Lindy obviously trusts him a little bit more than Metza and Bryson, at least in
That's
terms
for
of the
sure.
ice time.
Yeah.
So I do think he'll have a role when he comes back. So yeah,
Cool.
I guess yeah, it could be his fifth, sixth defenseman in the future.
Yeah, I mean he struggled a bit when he was
Yeah, he
playing, so
definitely
hopefully,
struggled.
but that was when the entire team was struggling, so I don't want to hold that straight to
Yeah.
him. We got two more skaters, and we'll go over some goalies. Jason Zucker and Noah Osland, if you just want to take those two.
I mean Zucker, he's been Jason Zucker, and I think it's been cool to see him get the amount of goals he's gotten this year and been a part of some meaningful early goals for these Sabres games. And Noah Osland, I think he's someone we talked about him maybe having a lower ceiling this offseason. I think he's another guy where it's like I think his ceiling's a lot higher now than I thought it was this summer. Uh, he's just such a high IQ hockey player. Like he's someone that you can tell he learned how to play the game the right way before he learned how to do like cool stuff on offense and
Mhm.
whatnot. Like he knows how to manage the neutral zone. He knows how to just make good defensive reads. He knows how to keep the puck in the offensive zone. He's just a high IQ hockey player.
There's one thing in particular that I noticed that he's done, and I've noticed it multiple times, is he is so good at supporting his defensemen when it comes to breakouts.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sure now the second I say that, there's gonna be a perfect example where he doesn't do that in the next game or whatever. But like, or in like the neutral zone, just supporting his teammates and giving them an outlet, and then being able to transport that puck. Like it's something that's very basic and simple. And when you're watching, you're like, yeah, cool, guy skating up the ice with a puck, good for him. But that is a good skill that needs to be praised, even though it doesn't always get the recognition it does. So, big fan of watching that. Let's rip through. We're gonna do all four goalies. I want to get your opinion on all four goalies. We're gonna go Alex Lyon, UPL, Colton Ellis, and Devin Levi. So, excuse me. First up, Alex Lyon.
I think he's been incredible. I think he's been the Alex Lyon we've seen on other teams where it's like, I want to have this guy on my roster. I think he's been exactly that so far.
Good goalie, good dude. Seems like a really good dude. I like having good dudes on the team that perform well.
A lot of
Um,
wisdom too with him. Like his comments
Crazy,
just
right?
on like how to win and how to build an NHL team. Like he knows. I mean, he's a Yale guy too, so he's obviously a smart guy as well.
Doesn't make me feel great that like I'm like the same age as him and he's like infinitely more articulate and can convey his thoughts way better than I can, kind of thing. Because
Well,
it's just
it's weird seeing
he's timeless.
NHLers like now, like I'm at the age where it's like, oh yeah, this guy's like a veteran player in the locker room. He's been around a while, and it's like it feels like just the other day, like the people
Yeah.
in my age range are like the young guys in the
Yep.
NHL just breaking into the league.
Yeah, you blink or you snap your fingers. Next thing you know, you're the old
Yeah.
guy there. So yeah, everyone goes through that. But okay, let's get back to it because we're over an hour in. But appreciate everyone that's made it this far. Um, again, we do this every so often where we talk about every single player on the team. Really, that's played. Um, and yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully we've said some stuff that you've either agreed or disagreed with. Go ahead and comment below if you do agree or disagree. UPL and Colton Ellis. Go with those two because those are Alex Lyon's like the number one for me, and then the other two are kind of
I think both have been good, but I mean, one's really scary when he plays, and the other seems a lot more relaxed and reliable at times. So, if I had to pick my number two, I'd probably go with the less scary guy in UPL. But I mean, Ellis might have a high ceiling, but it's like
dude.
there's
It's
some
just too
nights you
much.
watch him, and it's like, oh man, the rebound control stresses you out.
Dude, well, the lack thereof. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah,
With UPL, if he is as the someone that's complained about him constantly over pursuing pucks, and I'm like, he was in the corner by the time that freaking puck went in the net. If he's the calm one,
yeah.
oh
I
boy.
mean, Ellis playing the puck too, like that outside of rebound control. There's been some plays where he's played the puck. I forget what game it was. There's one play he made where he came way out and had to dive back into his crease just to keep it from going in. It's like
Oh, it's gonna bug me. What game was that? I know exactly what you're talking about too, and
Yeah, because I
someone
remember
someone
tweeting out like that's like the worst play I've ever seen from an NHL goalie.
was it in overtime too? Anyway, we're not gonna get into that any
No, it
further, so
definitely wasn't overtime, but it happened where it's like, oh
it's like
man, that
late in
was
the
like
game or something like
terrible.
that? I don't know. Anyway, Devin Levi, because I am probably on the point where, like, Devin Levi like, Kevin Adams no longer here. He's been called out by his coach a few times. It hasn't been like a stellar time in Rochester. We're far removed. I'm sure he's probably PO'd. He's like, hey guys, you brought me in as the guy. You ran me into the ground as a rookie coming out of college to try to make the playoffs. Next thing you know, you're dumping me in the AHL for a couple of years. And I personally think that's what he needed. But Devin Levi being super ambitious, I'm sure he's not too happy. I'm sure there's been talks behind the scenes that he's probably wanted out. That's what I personally
Yeah.
think. What do you think about the Devin Levi situation?
Yeah, I mean, you really have to give him a shot in the NHL or trade him to someone else that will at this point. I mean, that's really the only two choices you have after this season. Like he's been playing somewhat better in Rochester lately, but it's like I don't know what more they want out of the guy before you give him a shot in the NHL. At some point, you're going to have to trust an AHL goalie to play in the NHL. Like it's impossible just to go from an AHL goalie to an NHL goalie without there being some level of trust in that transition over. So yeah, if they don't trust him, then he's not a Sabre. If they do trust him, then he could still be a Sabre. But at this point, it looks like they're not trusting him. So I guess it'll just be like, what NHL team will Sabres move him to, and hopefully it doesn't bite them in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, just going from that massive hype to where we are now, you wish him all the best for his career, but it's
I
starting
mean,
to
he's
feel
been
like
playing
eventually
better
it's gonna be
hockey though
Buffalo.
too.
Yeah,
Like I mean, just looking at his last like 6 games, 23 save shutout, saved 18 and 19, saved 19 and 22, not great. 22 of 23, 22 of 24, and then 34 of 35 his last game. Like it's not bad hockey. It's just inconsistent sometimes, but like I don't know. I mean, they're playing the guy a ton in the AHL too. Like he's
yeah.
playing a ton of games down there. So it's yeah, it
I
just doesn't seem like they have a plan with him.
I will say if you don't like the chaoticness of Colton Ellis, you're just Devin Levi's not your goalie.
Yeah, the Sabres front office loves the chaos of Colton Ellis, which is why it makes it so interesting. The Sabres front office is like the reason they were running 3 goalies and the reason why Colton Ellis is on the roster now. So it's like what did they see in picking up Colton Ellis off of waivers that they don't see in Devin Levi? I mean, I know obviously different waiver eligibility. Ellis would have to go through waivers, Levi doesn't, but it's like it feels like Ellis is another roadblock in the way of Levi.
I don't think he should be. If you have to choose between the two, I think you choose the guy that you've
Yeah.
sunk more of your time and resources in, and a really good asset to give up to get him as well. I know part of that was getting Yuri Kulik in the draft for that draft pick that they got too, but this was supposed to be a big piece. So really curious to see where that goes, how he finishes the rest of the campaign in Rochester. It seems like the three goalie thing it's essentially saved the Sabre season at points. I
Yeah,
know it
just with the health.
kind of caught. I mean, I snapped when Noah Olsen got sent down for the three goalie thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of what did Kevin Adams in. But now you look back at it and you're like, well, maybe Kevin wasn't wrong after all. Again, kept like overall, Kevin needed to go. Like it just needed to happen. He needed to
Well,
go.
yeah, I just
But
think about like Dali's words in the locker room after Adams got fired, and it's like this was a guy that met privately with Adams last season that asked to. So it's like he obviously knew. Probably a lot of guys in the locker room knew like there's not much future if they kept him around. I think they knew they needed to move on from him to trust in the future of this team, and they've been playing like it too.
I think that's a really good place to sign off. Walt, want to use that as your final word?
Might as well.
Might as well. Well, thank you for listening. It's been the Sabremetrix podcast double feature. So hopefully you checked out our Olympic, talk. We will have another episode talking about the Olympics before the quarterfinals. Hopefully the United States are coasting into the quarterfinals, and that's where the real work begins. I think that was a really good way for Walt to end it. So for Walt, I am Bill. Thank you for listening. It's been the Sabremetrix podcast. We will catch you on the next one.